Welcome back, Legacy Builders. You're listening to the Legacy Pregame Podcast. I am your host, Marcella Mollon-Williams, behavioral financial advisor and legacy strategist, helping first-gen high earners prepare for what money can't solve.
And I am Mark Mollon, your co host, investment advisor, and we are your sibling duo, walking alongside you as you build wealth with purpose.
Yes, and last week we kicked things off with Legacy Lens. And if you missed the first episode, I highly encourage you to go back and listen to it so you won't miss any of the important information we shared. This is all about setting up a solid foundation for your legacy wealth. So go back and listen, okay? Okay. Today we are diving into the E in the legacy pregame framework. And Mark, what is the E in legacy?
Well, Marcella, I'm glad you asked. So the E, it's your emotional mastery. I think this is a part of legacy planning that most people skip and the industry ignores, even though it runs the whole show behind the scene, right, Marcella?
I cannot agree with you more. And I think it's because emotional mastery requires emotional discipline.
Ooh, you
Say the
said it
word.
right there. That's the word most people don't like to hear is discipline.
I know, don't I know it? But we have to say it, we're going to say the word discipline. And it's important because we have to address the elephant in the room. Because if your emotions lead your money won't last. So let's
Mhm.
talk about the real reason why smart, successful people still make messy financial decisions and how to change that narrative. And money, it starts with understanding money, right? Money isn't just logical, it's emotional. You can know better and still not do better. That is because your emotions, not your spreadsheets, will make the calls if you are not intentional. As a matter of fact, various researchers show that a large percentage of our financial decisions are based on emotions. Some research cites as high as 90% or more. I've heard 95% of, of our decisions are based off of emotions, leaving logic playing a very small role.
Marcella, we've been in this industry for 15 years and we can easily see how relevant the statistics are. I mean, we see it time and time again. People with money feel ashamed of spending it, others feel guilty for having more than their family. Some have an addiction to earning it as a way to prove their worth. You finally have what you've been praying for, what you've been working hard for, and now you're overwhelmed by it. You
Mhm.
know, and some of the thoughts that they have, let me give you some examples here, right? So some of those thoughts can be, you know, am I doing enough? What about should I give more? One of my favorites is, oh, what if I lose it all? These are the things that people are dealing with.
Absolutely, Mark. And I know some of these listeners are probably thinking, "Whoo, that's me," and definitely
Mhm.
let us know if it's resonating with you. Because, yeah, especially when you're first in your family to hit six, seven, or eight figures, that pressure hits differently. You're carrying so much of when you're that first, right? You're carrying grief, pride, fear, anxiety, even survivor's guilt. It can go on and on. And if you don't deal with it, it will drive your decisions. Those emotions will drive your decision. So being a first gen wealth builder comes with emotional tension. That's just the
Mhm.
reality of it. We're not gonna soften the blow here. We're just going to keep it very real because you need to know what's going on inside of you. So you're constantly navigating a lot of things when it comes to being a first gen. You're navigating the family expectations, the cultural pressures to stay humble. All right, you got to stay humble. And also the fear of being judged for wanting more, for desiring more in your life. And when your emotions are unexamined, you'll either overgive, you'll undercharge, avoid investing, and then you'll also work yourself into a burnout. and then later on, just resent it.
Marcella,
Yeah.
let me add something here as
Mhm.
well. For our legacy builders like you here listening and watching, you you have to realize that you're most vulnerable when your emotions are unprocessed. So I just want you to
Mhm.
understand that, right?
Thank you. Yeah, yeah, Mark. Thank you for adding that. And I want to make sure that our listeners are really hearing that, which was just said there. Unexamined and unprocessed emotions will have a negative impact on your financial decisions. Okay. I'm going to say it one more time. Unexamined and unprocessed emotions will have a negative impact on your financial decisions. That's why emotional mastery is not optional. It is your armor.
Mm, I love that line right there. It's your armor. Yes.
It absolutely is, Mark. Emotional mastery doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you don't let your feelings become your financial strategy. You're able well, it's all about being emotionally aware and, shall I say it again, disciplined. That's what this is all about.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're absolutely right. So I like to think of it this way, right? It's that place between the feelings and the action where power lives.
So
So
say that, sorry, Mark. You have to say that again because
I
I
have
like
to say it. Let me say it
say it one
again,
more
right? So it's that place where feelings and the actions is where the power lives, right?
time. Mhm.
So I want to put it this way. Emotional mastery is what lets you choose growth over guilt. How about wisdom over worries and clarity over chaos, right?
Mm. Okay, I like that, Mark. We bringing them
I know,
together.
right? I had digging deep for that one. Digging deep for that.
No. No, that is good, and it's important, and I'll just add that the neuroscience backs it, right? When you're emotionally triggered, understand that your brain diverts blood flow away from your prefrontal cortex. That is the area responsible for strategic thinking. That's that frontal lobe of your brain that is where the logic is happening. So when you
Sorry,
oh,
Marcel.
go
I,
ahead,
I
go ahead, Mark. No,
wanted
go
to
ahead.
jump in here because I wanted to emphasize the relevancy of what you're saying there, given your background as a behavioral financial advisor. These are the things that you have to study to understand that guide our decisions. So I just want our audience to realize here how significant what you're saying, because it's why we do what we do. It's why you got the designation that you got, right? So we can have a better understanding, right, of how the brain works. Therefore, it gives us mastery over it, right?
Oh no, I appreciate you adding that because it's absolutely important. And what's funny about that is just not too long ago at the time of this recording, it was yesterday, I took part in a sales course that they were teaching neuro marketing. And I'm
Oh,
in this class because it's important for me to listen to this because I'm in this class and I'm like, my job is to help our clients combat this neuro marketing. They're teaching
wow.
how to sell the neuro, talking about the neuroscience of selling. And I am processing this and learning this. So now I can come show our listeners and our clients this is what they're using against you. Emotional mastery is how you overcome neuro marketing and
Wow.
neuroscience selling. So I'm glad you brought that up. And that is really the importance. This is what we're talking about here. So when you react instead of regulating, you're literally operating from a survival mode. This is what we're talking about, tapping into the part of the brain that is logical. You are tapping into a survival mode. And we want to shift that survival way of thinking where you can react instead of regulate. Survival mode doesn't build legacies.
Mm.
Survival mode doesn't build legacies, it protects status quo. And I want to emphasize this. Survival mode protects status quo, keeping you nice and cozy in your comfort zone.
Marcella, that is the place where dreams die. If we're talking about legacy building, the last thing you want to do is be nice and cozy in your comfort zone, right? Yes, yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
We do not want that. I love that you said it is the place where dreams go to die, and we don't want that.
Mhm.
So we are really going to continue to focus on the emotional mastery by doing a legacy pregame practice. So it is time to pull out your legacy pregame
That was
journal.
the first homework, first homework assignment. Get that legacy playbook, it's
That's right.
the journal. Yes.
Journal, yes, the journal, and grab a pen and let's work together through this. I'm gonna take you through a 3-step pregame plan, right? Practice. So the first one is name the emotion before you make the move. All right, so that's the first one. Name the emotion before you make the move. And what that involves is asking yourself, what am I actually feeling right now? So the next time you have a financial decision to make, I want you to ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Are you afraid? Are you feeling guilty? Are you trying to prove something? So that's the first step. These are questions to process. And Mark, we love questions. There's a quote that I always say, the quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you're willing to ask yourself. Really
Yeah.
willing to ask, but I always add yourself because it starts there. Like the quality of your life really improves when you're willing to ask yourself the tough questions. And that's what we have here. The questions to ask yourself. So number one, name the emotion before you make the move. Awareness is 80% of the battle. You cannot fix what you won't face. So we have to face it. Mark, number
Marcella,
two.
I want to add to that there
Mhm.
because I think it's so important, especially in our society today, where we're taught to make decisions very quick. Like our societal group says you need to move quick, take advantage of opportunities, and all these different things, and it works opposite of what we really should be doing as individuals, as the legacy builders that we are, making sure we secure our legacy, that we need to make sure that we address these different aspects that we're bringing up, including how you are feeling. And let's face it, that is something that's not being taught. That's not something that is emphasized enough. So I'm so glad, Marcelo, you're
Mhm.
bringing that up. And on top of that, I want to add number two,
Yes.
because this is one that's near and dear to me. But when you went through your research and studies, you really added another level to this, right? So, what we're talking about here is number two, the pause, right? So, don't perform. So, I want to be very clear here with everyone here that one of the greatest tools you have in your arsenal is the power to pause. What does that mean? Because as I mentioned earlier, in an environment where you're told to make decisions right away, you got to act now, act now, act now, right? Well, why do they want you to act right now? Because they're trying to tug on your emotions, not to have you process, not to have you think about it, but just base your decisions off that emotion, and then that gives them the advantage. It doesn't give you and your legacy an advantage. So what we are saying here is that utilize the ability of your right, your pause, and take 24 hours before you make any big financial decisions. So that's going to be like spending, it's going to be investing. Another example is gifting, right?
Mhm.
Take the time to pause and see, is this decision, as Marcella said in the first one, examine your emotions and then pause and evaluate that, right? And then that way
Mhm.
you can really make sure your decisions are aligned with your values, with your purpose, with your legacy.
Yeah, it's so good. And let me just add that because the importance of what you just said, emotional spending, emotional giving, and even emotional saving. And yes, that is a thing. They're they're all reactions. And you
Mhm.
want to build legacies with responses, not reactions. You brought up this reaction thing, right? You
Yes.
want to build Yeah, you want to build your legacy with responses. So the power pause, which is what you're talking about, Mark, and I know so many people have heard that term, the power pause. It is powerful when it comes to making financial decisions. So we cannot overemphasize that at all. So that is number two. Pause, don't perform. And so the third step that you want to write in your journal is choose values over validation. This is a big one. I know it's a big one for both
Mm,
Mark and I.
mm, yes.
Make your decisions based on your values, not your fears or what you think will earn your praise or approval. Start with values. When your money aligns with your values, you gain so much peace. And again, Mark and I have experienced this Mark shared a bit about this in the first episode. So again, go back and listen. And so much peace comes with making sure your money is aligned with your values. And then you stop overspending your time, overspending your energy, or your dollars trying to prove your worth, which,
Yes. Yes.
we've seen that. We've seen that.
Yeah. I mean, we use this ourselves all the time.
Mhm.
Emotional mastery isn't a one-time breakthrough. Like you just have it and boom, you're there, you've arrived, there's nothing else to do. No, it's a lifestyle. You're always constantly working on it, right? It can become easier, but there are days that will be challenging. This is why it is a lifestyle. So you're not, and let's be clear here because we're talking about mastery. Some of you might be thinking, "Oh, okay, I'm just supposed to be for my Star Trek folks out there. We don't want to be like a Vulcan with no emotions.
Right.
We are emotional creatures.
Mhm.
So what I want to be very clear here is that you're not becoming emotionless. You're becoming emotionally wise,
Mhm.
emotionally responsible.
Yes.
That's why we're saying emotional mastery. You're not eliminating it, you're just mastering it.
Very important points, Mark. Thank you for bringing that up. And I want to make sure that everyone truly understands what is at stake here. If you ignore this part of the framework, emotional mastery, you'll just stay reactive. Again, back to just being reactive. You'll self-sabotage your growth. This is again the things that we've seen. And
Mhm.
that self-sabotage could be so hard to watch and to deal with. So you'll stay reactive, you'll sabotage your growth, and you'll build wealth that feels heavy, not free. Who wants that? Who wants heavy money that comes with heaviness and weight?
Not me. I'll tell you that right now.
I know. I know, but both of us, freedom's one of our core values. So we know that is not what we're about, and we don't want that for you. But when you do take the time to do the emotional work, it is worth it because you can come out of it with more clarity, more confidence when it comes to making money decisions. You'll stop living for approval. And as a recovering people pleaser, ooh, that thing is very freeing. And you'll finally feel peace when you build your legacy. And peace is so important. So, Mark, I want to do something here. Okay. I want,
Do it.
okay.
Let's do it. Yeah.
I'll just jump in here with this. I want to do something with the listeners. So, again, pull out your journal and your pen. We're going to do another quick exercise. I want you all to write down, first think about, and then write down the last 3 money decisions you made. And as you write down those money decisions, ask yourself this: were these decisions made from fear, obligation, or clarity? So
Mm.
think about where you were coming from, where was going on in your mind, how were you feeling, your nervous system, what was going on when you were making your last 3 money decisions. And then in your journal, I want you to write down what emotions showed up. So write it to yourself. What emotion shows up most often in my money decisions?
Hmm.
What emotion shows up most often in my money decisions? And then ask yourself, what new script do I want to write? So, the reason I want you to write the first question as far as what emotion shows up most often is because I want you to make note of any patterns in making money decisions, because we all will, especially when we're starting to do the emotional work, there are going to be patterns. And when you can start recognizing those patterns, then you can do something about it. So remember, you can't fix what you can't face. So this is us facing it again. And then write down, well, what am I going to do about that? How do I change that? And yeah, so remember, this is all just a start. This is a lot of the work that we do with our family legacy experience clients, the clients that work with us. We take through this process and we flip the script. So this is the emotional homework that most high earners actually skip, which is why we don't skip it. This is why many who skip this will never become legacy leaders. They'll be high earners, but never will be a legacy leader and never build the legacy that they actually desire. But here's the thing, because you are listening, you are here with us, you're watching us, we know that you're different. And it's clear by this action that you're ready for more. And so we applaud you for that. And I want to encourage you to continue to move forward. If you're serious about building legacy from the inside out, then go ahead and download our Legacy Pregame Clarity Workbook. There's a section just for the emotional mastery with reflection prompts to help you process what's behind your money moves. So you're not just making money, you're making money meaningful. How powerful is that?
That is so powerful. So, want to make sure that you click on the link in the show notes. As Marcella said, download the workbook and also leave us a review. It helps others find our show and starts their own legacy journey, right?
Yes, yes, please do so. And so next time, we're moving forward with the G of the framework, generational goals. Excited about this one because
Yes.
it's not just goal setting, it's goal casting for generations you may never meet. That just gets me excited. I mean, this is where it
Mhm.
gets juicy, right, Mark?
Right, exactly.
I mean, this is the reality. Building legacy isn't about the next quarter, right? It's about the next 100 years.
If we're talking about a game, that's a long game.
Right, exactly.
Quarters versus years.
Right,
Yeah,
100 years. So this is
100
we'll show
years.
you. That's a long time, but we will show you how to make moves with that kind of vision. Oh, you move differently, you plan differently, you operate
Yes.
differently with 100-year vision. So you do not want to miss this, legacy builders. Until next time, next episode, make sure you join us and continue to live well, build wisely.
And master your emotions behind your money.